You want the dirt on rock and roll?
You got it.
Hey guys, it's episode 88, and we're going to be joined with Ira Black. He's with so many bands, but Bulletboys for sure. They will be at Rocklahoma, yes. And they're going to be doing the pre-party. But as always, we are live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook, we are live on Twitter, we are live on Twitch. So make sure you share and hit that subscribe button on all of those platforms. Especially YouTube. We're trying to hit that 1,000th subscriber mark. We already hit over 5,000 on Facebook, so we're just trying to truck along. And of course, on our Twitter page, we are at TUL Music Stream. And as always, podcast platforms like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and Apple Podcast. We are on all those. So here's Ms. Janet, our host right here.
And being the consummate professional that he is, Ira is waiting in the wings. I wouldn't have expected anything less other than this gentleman showing up on time tonight. Ira, are you ready to come on and talk to your people?
I am, indeed.
Let's do it. There's the man with the plan right there, Mr. Ira Black. Yeah, it would take us about 3 minutes to list all the bands that you've been with, and we're going to get into a lot of your history and this amazing career that you've built for yourself. But you are currently with Bulletboys and Vio-lence. Now, before we get into talking about your story and your history, there's a lady we want to talk about that we're pretty fond of, and I have a feeling you're pretty fond of her as well. And she has been an absolute delight and joy for us to work with. She's been so good to us here at Tulsa Music Stream. Let's put this on the screen. Now, I know this was several years back. What a special moment this had to be for you and Jessica Chase, your better half. Talk a little bit about, and for people who maybe don't know the story, this is Ira and Jessica in front of 30,000 screaming fans following Korn's set at the Alcatraz Metal Festival back in 2017. You tell the story, buddy. How did you come up with this idea? What the heck are you doing right here? And just share some of your memories of that night.
Wow. Well, yes, you said my better half, and I will have to agree with that. And there's my cat Archer, by the way. He wants to be part of this.
Please do. We are big cat people. Bring him on.
Always in the middle of everything. But
love it.
Yeah, like everything in my life, when I try and tell a story, I go, well, where do I start this thing? Because my life is one string of events, one leading to the next, you know?
Yes.
And God, I was on tour at the time with Westfield Massacre, a band I was playing with at the time, and had Tommy Vex in the band, some other guys, and we were in the States touring, and I saw in the news, I think it was Cloud Around, some said that Morbid Angel had canceled their performance at Alcatraz Metal Fest because of some passport issues or something like that. And at the time, I was playing in the band I Am Morbid, which was Dave Vincent, Tim Young from and Bill Hudson, of course, but the first two from Morbid Angel. So we were in a band playing the first 4 albums of Morbid Angel. So I had already played Alcatraz Metal Fest in 2010 with another band, so I had a contact with these guys. So I immediately reached out to the promoter, who's a friend of mine, Philip.
Yeah.
I mean, literally saw the article, made a message, and I was driving the vehicle on this tour. I was somewhere in the Midwest, and here I am texting, driving to, hate to admit that, but sometimes
it's all right.
Anyway, so I send this message out. Next thing I know, within hours, I'm getting booked to play Alcatraz Metal Fest again. And it's in like 9 days or something from this moment that I'm texting. I'm like, oh my God, it's a whirlwind.
Wow.
So immediately, I'd been on the road for about 3 weeks. I was missing Jessica a lot, and I doing a lot of thinking about our relationship at the time and stuff. And I'm like, it's always been in my heart that I want to be with her like that, marry her. And, so in my mind, I was already kind of there, with her. But I was like, okay, you know what? I also saw Alcatraz. This is another key little factor that kind of helped spark some of this stuff. I saw that they were going to be marrying some people at Alcatraz Metal Fest.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to marry Jessica there.
Oh.
I forgot about the proposal part. I'm like, I'm going to take her there and marry her. And I'm like, I haven't even proposed to her yet. So
right.
in my mind, I was going to do both. I'll propose to her on the plane, then I'll marry her there. It'd be a big surprise. So
Wow.
I call her up. Hey, I got us on this festival. Why don't you come with me? She's like, oh, can we afford it? We always see typical
Right.
couples. We start talking about, well, does this make sense? And I'm like, come on, you haven't seen me play at a big festival like this in Europe. Like, let's do this, So she, okay, I'll come. So we work it all out. We're on our way over there, and I'm still on the plane going, wait a minute, I got to propose to her first, then marry her. But maybe, what girl wants to get married by surprise, let alone propose to you by surprise?
Sure.
And by the way, we're getting married in the next 48 hours, So I came to the conclusion, okay, I just have to propose to her there. We'll leave it at that. And, of course, I played the festival, but I started thinking, well, it would be best. It would look really cool. It'd be awesome if we could do it on the main stage after Korn plays. Of course, we're friends with Ray Luzier, the drummer. And I was like, okay, so how am I going to make this happen? So we got to the festival. Yes, and that picture you're showing right there was the after effect that was later on after the show.
Nice.
See how happy we all are.
Yes.
So anyways, we get to the festival, and I'm talking to my friend Philip in the production office. I'm there with Jessica. And I had already kind of sent him some messages about what I wanted to do. And he said, hey, if you can make it happen, Ira, the court is yours. Do whatever you want, as long as, everyone's in agreement and, you're not stepping on anyone's toes. So, okay, cool. And he goes, maybe you might want to talk to that guy over there. He points over to him. His name's Mario Ponson. He's the head of production at Alcatraz. So with Jessica in the production office, 15, 20 feet away, I go over to Mario and I start kind of whispering, hey, I'm Ira Black. Good to meet you. And, oh, yeah, I know who you are, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, I start kind of bringing my voice down. I'm going to propose to my girl on stage after Korn's done playing tomorrow.
Wow.
Can you help me with that? And he's like, and he's kind of looking around like, shh, she's right over there. He's like, oh my God. He's like, what? Well, same thing. Yeah, I'll help out in any way. As long as everyone's on board, yeah, let me know.
Right.
So it really didn't happen, the sewing the plan up, until, we were hanging out. I'd already played. Ray was on side of the stage while I was playing, which is really cool. But I couldn't really talk to him because Jess was right there. And then they were the headliner, so they were going on a few hours later. So we end up going to their dressing room, and we were watching some other band on stage, and I tell Jess, I'm like, hey, let's go backstage and hang out with Korn a little bit, and she's like, well, I'm watching this band, and I'm like, just for a few minutes, let's do it real quick. So we run back there, and we're talking with all the guys in the band, and I'm like, how can I do this? Oh my God, it's so awkward. So we're getting ready to walk out, and I say, oh, hey, hon, can you grab me some water around the corner on the where they have drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she walks around, and Ray's like stretching. They're going on in like 20 minutes. He's on the ground stretching, and I go up real quick, and I'm like, Ray, I'm going to propose to Jess after your set. Can you bring me up on stage right after? Like, I threw it out like that. He's like, first the shock on his face, and then the, yeah, oh, okay.
Of course.
Meet me right before we go on, right on the side of the stage. Meet me, and we'll go over the details. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So
wow.
We go to the stage, and we're waiting kind of on the stage in the back. And long story short, Ray, kind of pulls me aside a little bit, and Jessica's kind of, watching. And I go over the details with him. We go up onto the stage. They're getting ready to go on. And then he's talked to Head about this now already, and kind of gotten some of the details together. And then they walk me behind the drum set. And this is when no one's supposed to be there at this point. They're going on in 3 minutes or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm standing behind the drum kit with Ray and Head, and they're telling me, okay, when we're done, Head's going to call you up, blah, blah, blah. And Jessica's like, what's Ira doing over there? Wow, he's really, in with these guys. What's up? So then the long story short, of course, their production manager for Korn, he was a little bit, he didn't know about it, so he got informed by Mario, because he needed the okay from him, because he needs to be in sync with their management and stuff, right, to make sure something like this can go down. And so Mario in a text back and forth, and goes, hey, their guy doesn't know about it yet. I need to get a yes from him. So I go up and talk to him. He's like, that ain't happening on my stage, and I understand, because he's running the show, and imagine someone's going, hey, I'm changing up your job and what's going on. So after a little back and forth, it happened. So long story short, you can see the video if you search in, a Korn and Ira Black on YouTube. It'll pop right up, and
That's so
they're
cool.
done. Fireworks are going off, and Head hits the mic, and he's like,
it's
all right,
amazing.
bringing my friend Ira out, and
I mean, you've made it hard for other guys to. You just can't top
the
that.
bar's now too high.
What
too high.
nice job,
I've heard that a lot from a lot of people. So,
Vio-lence, they've just announced that you're going back to France for a European tour, or you just got done with the European tour? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I just got back from Europe with my son's band. I booked them a tour. That's a side note. They're called Corrupt.
Right.
Right.
So Vio-lence is there you go, right there with my son. So Vio-lence is going over in about a week to France to play the Motoculture Fest. So
okay,
it's just a one-off show for us and stuff. And here's a cool little side note as well, is that the Alcatraz Metal Fest, which I didn't know this until I played it last year with Vio-lence, that they call it the Alcatraz Metal Fest because of Alcatraz Island. And that's where Bay Area thrash metal started. And they're big fans of thrash metal.
Right.
And that's how they came up with the name Alcatraz Metal Fest, to pay homage to that.
Oh,
and
wow.
little did I know that their mascot is called Officer Nice. It's a skeleton, the skull head,
wow,
cop, and he's called Officer Nice. And they named it after a Vio-lence song.
That's crazy.
It's a song called Officer Nice. So the mascot is named after a Vio-lence song. So all these years later, having been affiliated with them, now I'm playing in Vio-lence, and then it was just another full circle thing. Like, life is a trip sometimes,
Boy, it is. And I have to ask you about this. I would imagine any of you guys that get to play, I hope I'm saying it right, Wacken, the Wacken Open Air Festival. What in the world is that experience like? You guys are going back this year to play it. How many times have you played Wacken? Do you even know?
Yeah, I've played it 3 times. This will be my 4th. The first time I played it, actually, I played it in 2002, and I played in style of my career, I played with 2 bands on the same day. I was playing the keys at the time and this drummer. So I played 1 hour apart at Wacken with 2 bands. So
wow,
oh man!
And you just had a little reunion with Vicious Rumors, and I guess you said your son and Corrupt, he actually got to get up and play with Vicious Rumors with you as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And that was really cool because I joined Vicious Rumors in 1999, and my son was born in 1999. So obviously those are some big events in my life at the time, and I always tie those together, and my son used to go with me to rehearsals when he was 2, 3, 4 years old with Vicious Rumors. He had a little toy guitar, and he would literally jam with the band like he was in the band, like the whole set. I mean, all the way to the end, total trooper. So all these years later, to him actually get up and do it for real with the band is like, just mind-blowing stuff for me, really.
You've obviously embraced that. I've heard some guys say, I told my kids to stay far away from music. Obviously, this is something you nurtured and you encouraged. So, and you just kind of answered my question. It was from the get-go that he loved and embraced this music. Do you get to be involved with a lot of his shows, or you're probably so busy doing your stuff and he's busy doing his stuff? How often do you guys get to hook up and jam on stage and be part of each other's musical lives like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. It's interesting because it's a little bit of both. I let him do his own thing because, you have to learn in the music business how to do your own thing. I don't want to totally just cater to him, and I let him make his own decision about getting involved in the music business. If you wanted to do this or that, whatever, but yeah, he decided to follow in my footsteps. And we do play a lot at Ultimate Jam Night. Cool. We jam a lot together. Actually, when I got the Vio-lence gig, is a funny story. He was a big fan of Vio-lence already, and he knew 5 or 6 of their songs. So he actually showed me the first number of songs, how to play them when I joined Vio-lence. So I really, in a strange twist of fate, it's like my son helped me really dial that gig in.
That is pretty cool.
There's a couple topics, doing everything, researching Ira Black, and two things that popped up was, of course, one that you were threatening to sue Facebook millions until you get your page back, or to get your page back. Did something happen with your Facebook page?
Yes, it did. And I'm not, over and done and out with that yet. You know, it might still happen at this point because, you know, I'm not a litigious type person. I mean, I could give you a long list. I mean, if you're in the music business, you know how it goes. I mean, everyone knows it's not a fair place out there, you know.
Right.
And I could have had a lot of lawsuits in my time for sure. If I ran you the list, you wouldn't believe it. Sometimes kind of blows my mind. I'm not a litigious person, but you know, our social media pages and stuff, we really utilize these and get to the point where we need them, especially when you're an artist and stuff like that. I mean, everyone does. I'm sure you stay in touch with your family through there, through friends, through Messenger. So I'd booked my son's tour through Messenger. I had, 10 plus years, 15 years almost or something of, messages and stuff packed in there. So the page got hacked, and here I'm leaving in 10 days or something on this tour with my son's band, and I can't even get into Messenger or anything. All of a sudden, someone hacked my page, deleted all my information, put a different name in there. And then, it took me a week to get it back, but still Facebook won't let me, even to this minute right now, it's been just under 2 months. It still has a different name on it. So anytime I post or use that page, I have to put a disclaimer in the comment that, hey, this is Ira.
Man.
Oh, God.
The name up there. As you can imagine how frustrating it is. And then maybe when it gets changed back, then I'm going to have to go back and take the disclaimers out because the name will be back. Then it'll just look silly. So Facebook doesn't offer any help.
Right. And they they don't even really talk to you. It's like you'll send them stuff, and half the time they don't even reply. Like they don't even, there's no help. There's no, yeah, you're right.
It's like dealing with the medical
automated
system.
Totally. Yeah. Like, a lot of big techs like that nowadays, you call up, you can't get anybody. They have an automated system, and it doesn't always have the options that you actually need. Mm-hmm. So for, 2 weeks, I kept just going at it. And here I am getting ready to leave for Europe. You think I have time to do that? That was extra stuff I do. Right. So I started getting mad. I just went on, I had a backup page. So I wrote on there, and I'd never really used that one very much. It had 1/5 the followers and none of the contacts for all the messaging I did for the tour and stuff. But so I said, screw it. I'm going to go on here and just say, hey, if Facebook doesn't do something about this, and I'm the type of person that's like, I'm not even looking for compensation. I want to change the system. That's the way my mind works. Like, I'm wondering how many people must go through this.
Right.
Thousands, 100,000. How many people get their paycheck? This could be probably a class action type suit or something. Like, hey, Facebook, you're making a lot of money off of us.
Yes.
Use our data, all these things that they use us for. Zuckerberg's making all this money off of us. Good for you, buddy. You figured out some little, you cracked the code, but then again, you got to also make sure you're not stepping on people or messing up their lives in the middle of that.
I mean, it's like they don't.
My rant.
Right.
It's like they don't understand. Like you're on the go, and a lot of your stuff, a lot of your business, things that your contacts, your information, stuff that's in your messengers and all this other stuff. You need that stuff, and that's sometimes that's how you communicate with your employees and your whatever.
It's critical.
That's kind of what you need. Especially if you're going from state to state or country to country, and it's kind of how you stay contacted with a lot of people to get you where you need to go from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything we talked about to book everything and where everything's at.
Right.
The numbers and all the details around everything. Someone's like, hey, we didn't say we were getting hotel rooms. No, you wrote it right here. I mean, you need all this information to navigate, and
right.
It just put a bump in my road. I was like, I'm sort of used to it because that's just the music business like that anyways, but that just gave me extra steps that I didn't need at the time. I was mixing my son's album before we left. I wanted to finish that. I just had so much going on. And of course, my own career is in the middle of, happening too. So it's like, oh.
Well, I hope you get to finish that ordeal and everything goes your way with that. And then the second thing that popped up was, of course, when you were jailed, you weren't, I guess there was, you're a vegan. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
And they weren't serving you.
The vegan hunger strike in the LA County Jail.
So before we get into the details of that, I want to know, because I admire it, was this decision made more out of just to improve your health or a love of animals or all of the above? What drove you to become vegan?
Well, here I am. If you want to get the exact number, I'm 29 years vegan now.
Wow.
And, this was a long time ago I made this decision. And, there's a few different reasons when I really think back on it. There was something that sparked it. I got sick a couple of times in 1 week eating meat. So I decided to give it a break. But also there was a narrative that at the time that it's been playing out in my mind. It was that, like, I would eat meat and I would always feel weird about it. I'm like, why am I eating this? I like animals and I eat this animal, and the two didn't connect for me.
Yeah.
So it kind of also, I came to the conclusion, I'm like, wait a minute, what I eat is what I was taught to eat. Wasn't my own decision, because, we're taught to eat what we eat from a young age. And I thought, well, wait a minute, we're kind of programmed to this, and apparently I wasn't feeling great about it. So I'm like, well, hey, I can make a decision about this. I don't like that. Let me stop doing it.
Sure.
So, that's what made me stop. It's just that, I didn't feel right about it. I had this really deep innate feeling like, why am I doing this? And one day I'm like, hey, I can make my own decision about this. I'm going to stop.
That's really admirable. And I guess they treated you pretty badly in there. Towards the end of it, once it was over, did you feel like they were starting to see your side of the argument, or was it just you just couldn't break them down on their stance?
Well, I did break them down. They eventually, I'll definitely write a book about this one day, because what I went through in there was really unbelievable. It was like something out of a movie. The guards tried to start a riot amongst the inmates. They tried to force me to eat a hamburger with threat of force. They brought me out into the hallway. 5 guards pulled out his club and said, you're going to eat that hamburger sitting right next to you on the bench in front of that camera. We're going to take you downstairs and beat the you-know-what out of you.
Wow.
And I literally said, hey, do what you need to do, man. I'm not eating that. This is like a religion to me. If you can't understand where I'm coming from, I'm not doing this to cause waves or just say, you can't make me do this. Like, no, I'm not going to do this. If you need to do that. And the guard just laughed at me and looked at them and said, can you believe this guy?
Wow.
It's like, yeah, it's the truth. This is not BS. This is the real deal. I will take a beating for it. If you need to beat me up, good. Because then I'll really have a case against you. It's like, you can't force someone to eat something they don't want. That's,
Sure.
Wow.
So
wild.
And then what do they do the next morning after they finally brought me a meal, and they treated me bad about when they brought the meal. They had a guy yelling at me, and then I went to eat it, and he said, oh, you got to wait. And then the other person's yelling at me, why do you eat that? And another guy comes in, you didn't eat that yet. It was like, they just, mess with you real bad in there. So the next morning, 7 a.m., bell go out, ding, Ira Black, roll up your stuff, you're out of here. And they let me out, about a week early.
Wow.
Because they finally gave me, I beat them.
Yeah.
In their eyes. And I wasn't trying to beat them, but, that's what happened. So they let me go. And then and you can confirm this with the person I'm going to mention, Andrew Freeman, who currently sings for The Last in Line.
Yeah.
We had been in a few bands together in the past. So we were friends. And I don't know if it was a few days or a week later, he calls me up and goes, dude, you're not going to believe this. His wife at the time, I don't know if they're together anymore. I don't think they are, actually. His wife at the time was a social worker working for the city of LA, and they called everyone in for a meeting, and they brought up the incident with me, said, hey, there's a guy in there went on a hunger strike, and blah, blah, blah. We didn't have the food for him, and we need to start carrying vegan food now so we don't encounter this anymore. So he's like, dude, you changed the system. They are now going to start having vegan food in LA County Jail because of you. And I'm like, wow.
Amazing.
So that to me was like,
that's mission accomplished right there. Good for you, man.
And that wasn't my goal. I mean, I was just like, hey, I don't eat what you're serving, and you put me in here against my will. I didn't do anything so bad, so I had an unpaid fine. Strangely enough, I just got off tour 2 days earlier with Lizzy Borden. I just got back from Europe. I'd only been home for 2 days. I quit drinking on the last day of the tour. I decided, hey, I'm not drinking ever again.
Wow.
And then 2 days later, I'm in LA County Jail off tour from Europe going, what the heck just happened to me?
Wow.
Crazy.
Speaking of Lizzy Borden, you may not remember this, but there was a time that you came to Oklahoma, and I believe it was in 2005. And this was when you were getting starting to work on the appointment with death with Lizzy Borden. And you actually told us about this, because this hasn't even come out yet. But her and I, we opened up with you for you and it was in a Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. It was at a club, and we all hung out afterwards, and we talked. And this was when you were drinking beers and everything. And I drank beers too, and I'm almost 2 years sober myself, which is great for both of us. But we had a long talk. This was Jan, and we actually had some emails with you back and forth after that show. But you were there with Jade Steele and the and the Emerald Triangle. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I think that this must have been 2006. I think.
Yeah,
okay,
that
maybe
sounds
so.
right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was playing with Metal Church in 2005, and then I came to LA in 2006 to do an album with Paul Shortino, and I ended up joining Lizzy. They had a tour with Wasp coming up.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up doing joining Lizzy. The tour was happening in 2 or 3 weeks, and it was like learn all the material and go on tour.
Yep.
And Metal Church had just toured with Wasp the previous year, and here I was back on tour with Wasp again. And then after that, I did that tour with the Emerald Triangle. Yeah, we had Troy Patrick Farrell on drums.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Yeah, and we were the band Down for Five who opened up for you, and she played guitar, and we hung out with you guys at the end of it, and
that's right. Tell me the name of the band again.
Down for Five.
You wouldn't remember.
That's right. Awesome.
Anyway,
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
That's the first time I got to see you play live, and I've seen you we went to Key West and seen you with the Bulletboys there, and I just love your glasses. But I'm a big Lizzy Borden fan, and when you told me that you were working on their new album, I was like, we had a long conversation outside about that, and of course, that album Appointment with Death is one of my favorites of their catalog. I can go all the way back to Give Him the Axe and all that stuff. And
I grew up on all that stuff as well, so I was a fan first, and
so that kind of leads me to my next question. When I think of Ira Black, I think of these heavier artists. To see you in Bulletboys was kind of surprising to me. I'd like to know how that connection got made, how it's going, and then I have a follow-up question after your answer.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. I was working. Well, I've been friends with Mark for a long time. I met him at NAMM a long time ago, I believe, or it was the M3 concert. It was one of those two. I was playing in Lizzy Borden at the time, and my friend Tommy Chandler used to work with them, and he introduced me to Mark and said, I never forget his. And I was a fan of Bulletboys. I bought their first record when it came out, fully knew all about them and all that. And Tommy Chandler goes, "Hey, Mark, this Ira Black, man, he plays in Lizzy Borden right now, and you got to have him play in the Bulletboys someday." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool," and just kind of shook my hand, and that was about it. But years later, Jess, my girl Jessica, she was friends with Mark, and we started hanging out over the years a bunch. And Mark's girl at the time, no longer. But anyways, we'd go to their house and hang out. We'd go out together, like, couples, go and hang out and stuff. And big circle of friends in LA. And there's a bunch of people. There's like 100 of them that all kind of hang out in various ways. And so hanging out with Mark over the years and stuff. I always kind of thought, it would be cool to play in the Bulletboys, because I do play a lot of different styles of music. I'm a fan of music, not just, I'm known for playing heavier stuff, but, I play a lot of acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
I play hard rock. I play classical. I play metal. I, dabble in all kinds of stuff. But it came to the point where I was doing some mixing for that band Of Gods and Monsters. I was playing with Simon Wright, Bjorn Englund, and Kevin Gucher. And I was playing Mark some of my mixes, and he was like, "Wow, man, this sounds incredible. I didn't realize you were getting into, that you did all that." I said, "Well, during the pandemic, I got my studio together and decided to figure out how to crack the code for myself, to figure out how to get the sounds that I like, every musician kind of fights with that. I think, it's like someone else mixes your music and you're like, "Oh, I wish it was like this." So,
right.
So I'm playing this stuff for Mark, and then he's like, "Hey, I'd love to do a side project with you." So we started writing and recording some other music. It was a little more alternative sounding. It wasn't Bulletboys type material at all. And at the time, he was back with the original lineup. We were just coming out of the pandemic, and they were starting to get back out there and play shows. So Mark and I were hanging out a lot because we were recording at my house and writing together. And we're talking a lot almost every day. And basically it came down to, he calls me up one day in December of, see what it says, December 22. And he goes, hey man, I'm playing the Whiskey tonight, but I guess I'm not because my band's not showing up. They're flaking out on me. Like, oh my God. He goes, I guess I'm gonna have to cancel. And he was just really upset. You know, he's like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Wow.
He's like, maybe I'll do an acoustic set just for the fans, because I don't want to flake on the show. And he goes, yeah, how would you feel about, you know, like, I don't know how many of Bulletboys songs, you know, would you come play this acoustic show with me at the Whiskey tonight?
Wow.
Like,
pressure.
so
Dang.
He gave me the set list. I went and learned 8 songs on the way there and then in the car.
Wow.
And then I went in. We went over some parts over about 30 minutes real quick, and then we hit the stage. Boom.
Dude.
And
wow.
he was just like, wow, man, that was incredible. So fast forward about 2 or 3 weeks later, and he calls me up and he goes, all right, well, I don't know if you just saw on Facebook Live, but the band just quit on me. And in 1 week, I'm playing at the Rock Island Fest in Key West. So
yeah,
we were there.
I'm going to have to cancel that. And he's talking with Jess and I both, and we're both like, absolutely not. Let's put together a band, a kick-ass band. I'll play guitar. We'll get, you know, bass player and drummer. We threw a couple names up. Of course, Brad Lang from YNT is good friends of ours. We, you know, he's a perfect fit for that. And he was down, and Fred Aching, drummer's playing with the band now. And it was like, just like that, snap of a finger. So a couple days later, we got together, had one rehearsal without Mark, then Mark rehearsed the next day, and then we jumped on a plane the next day and then played Rock Island.
It was a great show, dude. It was so, you guys were so on that day. I mean, it was electric. It was amazing. So I told you I had a follow-up question, and I almost hate to ask you this because it's probably like asking someone who their favorite child is. Now, I don't mean it that way, but obviously you have this massive roster of artists that you've played with. As you kind of start reflecting on your career, and you have a long way to go, so I'm not trying to imply it's almost over. It's not. But as you start reflecting on it, what are the projects, what are the bands that stick out as, man, that was a career highlight for me to do? Maybe give me like top 3, top 4.
Yeah. That's interesting because, you know, being a fan of music, you know, and I think being able to play with some of these bands I grew up listening to, you know, because, I mean, my first concert was Black Sabbath. Okay, I was 13, 1984, Born Again tour, Ian Gillan singing for Black Sabbath. This is definitely a highlight for me. Who played in Black Sabbath? Bill Ward. I wasn't in a band with him, but I got to do one show with him, and I got to play with Bill Ward. We did a rehearsal first, and then I got to play with him, and that was definitely a career highlight. It just power packed into an event, you know, like, wow, you know, and that was actually the last show he's played to date. So, you know, I'm hoping he gets out there and plays some more, you know, but I haven't heard much from him musically. So I, you know, if you're listening to Bill, please get out there and do something. You know, I'd love to be part of it. Of course, Dewey Bragg is doing something with them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, I have to mention Dokken.
Yes.
All these bands we grew up listening to. Dokken was a big one for me. You know, in the same era of me listening to Black Sabbath, my first concert back in that time, Quiet Riot opened. And my second concert was Judas Priest and Great White. Then it was Scorpions with Bon Jovi opening. So, you know, we know where our influences and you know, these bands that we love playing or listening to, you know. So Dokken was a big one for me as younger because being a guitar player, of course, George Lynch.
Of course, yes.
Phenomenal guitar player.
Yes.
And, love the new song.
Yeah, totally. I always give him props for that, you know. But the songwriting of Dokken, so getting to play with Dokken for a while and becoming great friends with them, that's, you know, a big deal for me as well.
Super cool.
And then, of course, I got 2 more I can think of off the top of my head. Of course, I've got to play with Mickey D a lot.
Oh, I love that guy.
That's great.
I saw a video on YouTube when you guys did a Motorhead song with Butcher Babies. Carla. Carla. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So a really cool thing I got to do is last Christmas, sounds like a George Michael song. Last Christmas, I jammed with Mickey. So Vio-lence was headlining the MTV Headbangers Ball tour last year over in Europe. And at the end of the tour, we're going to end up in Sweden. So I said, hey, Jess, why don't you come over for the last week of the tour? We'll go hang out in Sweden. Mickey's off during that period of time. We'll go hang out with him and his wife, Mia, for a few days. Cool. It was all working out. Everything was great. And then it turned out Mickey had some Christmas show he was doing in Gothenburg for the city of Gothenburg kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we were talking to him for a couple of days. All of a sudden he calls us back up and he goes, hey, by the way, the guitar player for this thing can't do it. Do you want to do it? So now it turned into a paid vacation because I already finished this tour. We're going to hang out for 2 days. But now he's like, well, now you're going to have to stay for an extra 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the guy running this thing is going to cover your hotel. We're going to pay you. And I was like,
Dude.
that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I get to play with Mickey, get put up in a very nice hotel and get paid to do it. I'm like, yeah, no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very cool. That was definitely a last-minute blessing that happened. And Jess and I had a great time. My God, we hanging out in Gothenburg. It was winter time, but it's so beautiful there. The Christmas scene there is just amazing,
Wow.
That's so cool. We have
and
some.
of course, I'll play my last one is playing the Bulletboys, because I mean, one of my best friends I grew up with in high school, we got the album when it came out, and he had this badass stereo and this El Camino that he had. We used to just put that Bulletboys album on 10 or 11 and, be just partying and going to all these different places back in that time. We'd just be singing all those songs at top volume, drinking beer and,
So cool, man. Go ahead, Scott.
We have some people in the chat room, not only on Facebook, we also have a chat room going on YouTube. And I'm going to read a couple of Chris Mizuno. He asked, ask Ira if he worked at Anna Miller's Pies.
I did, and that was right around the same time that we were listening to Bulletboys in my friend's El Camino. That was in Sacramento, and yes, I did work there. I was the cashier. I don't remember how long I was there. It was an interesting job. It was in the mall in Sacramento there, so it had a lot of activity there and stuff. But yeah, hey, I ate a lot of pie. I think my nickname became Pyra after that. I don't know, but.
Well, we've got some other nice comments in here.
Yeah.
Natasha Marie says, great interview. A huge fan of Ira Black. I'm enjoying this. John Miller says, one cool guy. Ira, what else you got, Scott?
Rocklahoma, bitches. We got Rocklahoma coming, man.
Yes, let's talk about that. Now, how many times have you played Rocklahoma? Do you know off the top of your head? Zero. This is your first time.
And
wow.
Lizzy Borden was there, and this was after you left Lizzy Borden, and I believe they had Dario on guitar and Chris Sanders, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, because Chris played on the album with you, or did you just do all the guitars?
No, Chris did not play on Appointment with Death.
Okay.
No.
Well,
and you actually got song credits on that album as well.
Who, me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I'll say real quick about Rocklahoma. This is interesting because I've always been a real go-getter in my career. I've always reaching out to people since the earliest days of me playing. I always, I figure like you have to really push this to make it happen. So every time I was in a band, I'd be like, hey, let's do this. How can we get this thing going? Like you got to have those conversations beyond the music. Because a lot of times bands just rehearse and how do you make things happen? So long story short, I actually reached out to the people at Rocklahoma at the time when I was in Lizzy Borden. So I was in communication with them and we were working on getting the band booked. And then they got booked after I left the band. And that was a bummer for me because, I was excited about doing it. And I always remember that. That was like, those are some of the sides that people don't see sometimes of artists. It's like it was, what's the right word? It's, it hurts, because here I was like trying to make that happen. Then they went on to play that without me. And, we weren't working together at the time because it just didn't work out. And sometimes it's like that. Of course, I rejoined them in some later years after we had, kind of patched it up, moved on. But at the time I was just like, kind of heartbroken over that because I really wanted to play it. I've heard so much about Rocklahoma at the time. So I'm really looking forward to it this time. I finally get to go play it.
I want to assure you, you are in for a great time. The people that go there, they just leave it all out on the field, man. They rock out like 4 straight days. It's awesome.
And we actually played, one of our sponsors for the show is Doug Burgess for DEB Concerts. And he actually owns and runs the stage that you guys are playing on. I think you'll be there Thursday night. And the pre-party, you have to imagine these people, have been waiting all year to get in there. And Thursdays, there's no other stages. It's like they are trapped right there. There's nowhere to go.
And they have energy to burn. It's amazing.
And so they burn. A lot of people they'll burn it all their energy out on that Thursday night, and then they'll be dragging ass on that Friday. So, those pre-parties are pretty amazing, and they're a lot of fun.
You're gonna love it.
And it'll be great. You got you guys, and then LA Guns, and then Warrant, which is 3 great bands that we all grew up on.
We just played with Warrant too last weekend in Streeter, Illinois, at the Streeter Fest. And,
how was that? Was that a great time?
Yeah, it was great. Of course, during the day it was raining pretty hard, so the schedule for sound check and all that kept getting pushed. And the first band was a local band, got pulled off because of time constraints. But it stopped raining. We did sound check, and it all worked out. But it was hard to believe it was going to happen. Sometimes you're like, it's pouring rain right now. It's really going to stop raining and then dry up, and they put a bunch of hay out on the field to combat the mud, but. Ended up being a great time. Yeah, it's very packed, and everyone was into it. And,
oh, that's great. I know there was a story that you recorded a song, I guess, for Carrot Top. I guess his Vegas intro song or something, and I guess it included Vinnie Paul from Pantera on drums. Is that correct?
Yeah. Paul.
Tell me the story. I know you have a studio and you're into of course, writing, recording, and you're into mixing and mastering and trying to get all those things dialed in and trying to learn all the elements of the studio. But you had a situation doing this song with Vinnie Paul. Can you tell the story for all of our viewers?
Yeah, so we were recording in the studio in Vegas, and long story short, they asked me to put together a rock arrangement of the song "Send in the Clowns," which is normally a song done with an orchestra, a crooning type song. Song "Send in the Clowns."
Sure.
It's a real dramatic. Like, how do you make that into a rock song? It's like, okay, well, it's Devil to Tempo. Let's start there. But, so I made this arrangement, and then it was Paul Shortino and I working on it first. We decided to bring Vinnie Paul in because, of course, Paul was living in Vegas at the time. He just moved there newly, and Vinnie was there. We was running into him all the time. So I got him to get involved. So we go to the studio. Everything seems like it's on point. I sent everyone the version I did, so they kind of had a little idea where we're going with it. And we get to the studio, and everybody's there. The drums are mic'd up. They pre-sent Vinny's drums there, or they had some other drums. It was set to his specs and all this, and everything was a really nice studio. We're all sitting up there waiting. All right, we're plugged in. We're all warmed up. But you got a guy there that's filming it with a camera and a photographer there. They're making a whole thing out of this, and awesome. Where's Vinny? Okay, well, 30 minutes. Okay. Hour. It's like 2 hours or something. And he's not answering the phone. We're like, man, I guess he's going to flake out on us or something. He's not coming. We're all starting to get kind of bummed. And all of a sudden this car rolls up and we kind of hear it. They're honking and stuff. We walk outside the studio and like 7 people fall out of the car dressed in clown outfits with full clown makeup and noses. And we're like, what the heck is going on? So it's Vinny showing up with his crew all dressed up as clowns. Because we're doing a song "Send in the Clowns,"
wow!
And we're just like, "What the heck?" So they were getting ready for this thing. I guess they just took them longer to do it, but so they roll up. So here I am now sitting in the studio with one of the baddest metal drummers of all time, in my opinion. And he's sitting behind the kit with the clown nose on, clown outfit, and I'm going, This is bonkers, you know? And of course, I have the Dean. I'm sponsored by Dean. I have one of the Dean. It's this guitar right here, actually.
It's beautiful, man.
That's funny you mentioned that because it's that guitar.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Is it that one?
Yeah. That's called the Dean Razorback Dime Edition. That's called the Dean Explosion.
Dude.
That's a Razorback Explosion, the Dime Explosion.
Oh, it's awesome.
Amazing.
It's
So
cool.
now I'm like, okay, well, he's here. He's the baddest metal drummer ever. All right, you ready to do this? And he's like, I go, did you hear what I sent you? Yeah, I kind of listened to it. Okay. Show me the first part. I show him the first part. He kind of plays some. Okay, cool. What's the next part? We get to the third part. All right, let's record this. I go, no, there's a couple more parts. Oh, okay. Fourth part, fifth part. Okay, let's go. I'm like, well, we haven't got to the bridge yet. He's like, how many parts does this song have? I'm like, yeah, it's like 11 parts. It's a fully orchestrated song, and I've simplified it and dumbed it down to a rock version. Yeah. So I'm showing him all the parts, and he's going, oh my God, I should have done more homework on this, you know? So we finally got through it, and you can, hear it on YouTube. Just search Sin in the Clowns, Vinnie Paul, Ira Black, Paul Shortino, Carrot Top. And yeah, so Carrot Top hired us to do it. He was there also when we did this, and I got to go to his show at the Luxor when he used this song as the intro. So that was a proud moment for me. Like, wow, all that hard work and, being in the right place at the right time with the right people. And there we go, Cool.
So cool. We got to get to some more fan comments. We got some good stuff in here. Ricky Cook said, Tomorrow Never Comes is my favorite song. Jackson Douglas says, hi, Ira Black. Hope you're doing well. Kicking ass, my metal brother. We love the stories you told us while on the Violence and Sacred Reich Australian tour. You're an inspiration and so down to earth and humble. We love you, brother. Leslie says, have a blast at Rocklahoma. Laura Bochette says, saw Bulletboys many moons ago in Savannah, Georgia. And no problem, Natasha. We're glad to get that comment read for you. And John Miller, that was the other one I wanted to read. I love his cooking show at his house. Are you still doing those?
Well, no, not specifically like that because it's just, but we were doing it during the pandemic.
Gotcha.
And something, becoming vegan, the first thing I really had to realize was that, especially back then, almost 30 years ago, I realized I had to learn how to cook. That was a big thing that I had not planned on. It's like, all right, well, I'm vegan, and I don't eat animal products. You go to a restaurant 30 years ago and they're like, well, we got lettuce, so very quickly I said, man, I better learn how to cook. Otherwise I'm going to go hungry here. So
right.
That's become a big part of who I am and what I do. I do a lot of vegan cooking, and I like to say I become like a gourmet chef in the vegan style because, hey, we like to eat, but we like to eat good things too,
Sure.
Like amazing, cool. I just don't want to make a veggie burger and say, okay, I made some food or stir fry some vegetables. I like to make some stuff that's really like when you see it, it's like something at a gourmet restaurant. You go, wow, what is this? This is, 15 flavor profiles and like, oh my God, it's incredible. So,
and let's face it, Ira, when you live a lifestyle as hectic and crazy and busy as yours, you've got to be putting good stuff in your body to keep it fueled and keep it healthy and keep it rolling. There was a video we saw of you. We laughed. I think you were drinking straight out of like a coffee pot. And I don't know how you do what you do, but it's absolutely amazing.
And your voice has changed dramatically from today. It's like your voice is very clear and soft spoken. And like a video of you doing an interview 10 years ago, 9 years ago, you had a really raspy voice, and it's completely changed.
Well, you say there's a video of me drinking out of the coffee pot. That's what I used to do with alcohol, So I used to, just kind of, I was a type of, I mean, it goes with the, reputation of, being in a rock band, it's like you party till the wheels come off, and I really did live that. I was the type of person that would go to an after party after one of my own shows to somebody's house. And when that was over, I'd be walking down the street looking for the next one while the sun's coming up. I mean, I just used to go and go and go. And I think I just, trashed my body in a lot of ways. And I was even being vegan back then, the partying, and not taking care of myself on that level, got a couch surf for 10 years. I mean, if you can imagine, I'd come home off tour from Europe without a place to go. I wouldn't be living anywhere. Hey, I just landed. Can I come over? Yeah. And then after like, you have somewhere else go? Well, I have a tour coming up in a week, so like, okay. But now my life's a lot healthier, 13 years sober.
Wonderful.
That's definitely really helped heal my voice, and, kind of the core of my existence is really centered, and, great foundation with my life, with Jessica and family and stuff. And
it's great.
Isn't it amazing waking up and there's no hangovers? You actually get up and you're just like, you're ready to tackle the day. It's like 6, 7 in the morning, and you're just like, boom, I'm ready to go. When years ago, you didn't want to wake up, or you were up all night and haven't been to bed, and all these things, and your head's like a cobweb. Such night and day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's just it's just healthier in the long run too. It's like you just feel better in general, just going throughout your day and the things you're doing. Your accomplishments feel better. You can focus more. Well, I can anyways, and, before I do all this stuff, and you would think, well, that would be achievements that help you kind of grow and climb in what you're doing. But when you don't have a foundation, it becomes, you're doing these things, but they're not really amounting to anything. I just keep always coming back. I feel like I'm coming back to zero,
Yeah.
Now I'm actually able to build and, develop these relationships with people over the years where, that they're not like, man, you're a little bit crazy last night. Like, wow, and now it's like, I can actually face people,
sure,
the next day and stuff like that too. So,
Yeah.
Let me get you. We'll start wrapping this up. Thanks for all your time tonight. I do have a few more comments on here, David.
And I have one last question.
Sure,
as well.
sure. Well, I'll get to you after these comments here. David Chase, he's really my brother. Give him my love. Kendra
Yes.
Bostic says, sober now 17 months. Congratulations, Kendra. And Ricky Cook says, Ira Black, tell Jessica Chase, Robert DeSanto of Stone Tone said hi. I don't know if you guys... Okay, cool.
Oaklandish.
There's a Stone Tone blocking that guitar right there.
Oh, there you go. Well, hi there, Ricky Cook. That's awesome, man. Go ahead, Scott.
Oaklandish Metal Boy says, Ira, you're lucky to have the red and black dime bolt.
Yes.
Definitely you are.
I have a question. First, it's kind of a two-part question. It's no secret that Ira Black can play in multiple bands. It must be an art to that. I have a hard time scheduling my cover bands on the weekends and having to work during the week. It's tough to do that in this. And so I can just imagine how tough that is for you. I would like to know, how do you schedule around all these different projects?
Yes.
And has there ever been a project or a band that turned you down for a tryout after a tryout?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first part of the question, you just have to use your time wisely. That's number one. I played in a handful of bands. Well, let's see. I joined Heathen, national band out of the Bay Area, the end of 1991, going into 92, just as I was turning, I was 20 then, going into turn 21. And super difficult music, one of the top 3 hardest bands I've ever played in, which is also I Am Morbid and Vio-lence. This music is chaotic. It's over the top. It's hard, but having done that a long time ago, that prepared me. It made a lot of other things so much easier, believe it or not. It's weird because when you push yourself to this level, it makes you realize, because, half the game is a mental game. Can I do this? Can I, when I got the docking gig, I had 9 days or something to learn the set, and I'd work on it during the day, and I'd be getting all this headways, like, I'm getting there, man. It's great, and I'm feeling confident about this. And I wake up the next morning and go, oh my God, am I going to be able to pull this off? This is I start working on it again. Oh yeah, I got this. And then you wake up, so it's that mental game of like, how much information can you hold? And,
right.
I learned how to manage my time wisely. I do a lot of, like, if you ever see me before a show, you'll see me warming up. I put in the headphones and I'll run the set. I've been doing that for years. I run the set a whole time, or sometimes 2 times before I hit the stage, because I want to hit it warmed up, and I want to make sure if I'm making any mistakes or forgetting anything, I do it right there, right before the show. So I'm using that that short-term memory, like really, I tax that really hard. You know, it's like, if you said, hey, go play a Dawkins show tomorrow, I probably couldn't do it. I mean, or I'd have to really drop everything and push hard, but it's like, I don't have it right now. You know, I can't just jump on stage and play all those songs. I have to, I use that short-term memory.
Sure.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. And then of course, let's see, I auditioned for Red Hot Chili Peppers in the early 90s.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I got to jam with Flea and Chad Smith.
Oh,
wow.
Did not get that gig. Dave Navarro got that gig.
Wow.
Machine Head, I auditioned for them in 1997 or 98, right before they did the Fest. I did not get that gig. Who else? I recently got a call to play with Testament, but to fill in for Alex Skolnick, but from their manager, Jeff Buttermark, but my schedule wouldn't allow for it. It was like too last minute, and I had a show with Vio-lence and 2 Bulletboys shows, and, you know, being a man of my word, I couldn't just cancel on those either, you know, so. But, yeah.
So it just seems like there's going to be opportunities just kind of coming your way at any given time, and you just don't know when they're going to come. That's kind of the beauty of what's going on with you and your career.
Definitely.
I just got offered one yesterday, sort of. The first initial call was sent to me. I can't say the name yet.
Oh, come on.
I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but I really can't. But it's like, you know.
Starts with, ends with. Come on, Ira, give us something. No, don't get yourself in trouble.
I can't say that, but I would say you would never believe in a million years that it would be this band, because it's just like, you know, I don't want to get. I'll say this. I wouldn't get to be myself. I'd have to play the part of someone else.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay. Well, we don't want to get you in any trouble, but when do you, if you make a decision one way or the other, when do you think we might hear something? A couple weeks, about a month? Hard to say.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay, bud. That's okay.
Jessica's probably telling me.
Shut your mouth. Yeah, we are not here to get you in trouble. What I was going to say that kind of ties into what Scott just said and what you were talking about, I think any of us who start playing at an early age and we aspire to get in a band and the band is just huge, and you know, that's a dream that very few reach. But I think what you have reached with your career is honestly just as good, maybe even cooler. But you know, and what I mean by that is you have made a career out of your music. And yeah, it hasn't been with one band the whole time. It's been with these multiple artists where you've gotten to meet all these different personalities and mesh and write with all these different people and see the world. I mean, you travel so much. Do you almost tell yourself, I'm glad it went this way instead of just being with one band the whole time?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I started my very first band in high school called Arcane, ARCANE. And, you know, I had the dream and the goal that this would be the band that would be my band that, you know, did like, you know, Motley Crue or Metallica or any of these bands, you know, like, you know, playing real music, of course, you know, no tracks, just, you know, but it didn't go that way, you know, and, you know, for a long time, I've always longed for that, you know, but it didn't happen. Then all of a sudden I started to realize, wow, I'm actually forging a career in being a hired gun, or, you know, it's mostly a hired gun that joins the band for a while, not just hired gun, like you know, and yeah, so I'm proud of that at this point, you know. A few years back, I think before I got the Dawkins gig, I told Jessica one day, I said, you know, I'm happy with my career the way it went. At this point,
yes,
I'm fine with however it goes, because I've done so many of the things I've already wanted to do, and it's just icing on the cake at this point. And then a lot of great things have come since then, and I feel like that's also part of the attitude of just like, hey, you know what? This is what I do, and how it unfolds is how it's going to unfold. And Jessica sent me a message, and she's totally correct about this. She said, you know, you asked me, how do I juggle all these band stuff? So I got to show you, Jessica made the schedule for me on my phone. So like that really does help me keep things straight too, because I can navigate also. These are the months. Each black line is a month. So this is this year going into next year, you know. Goodness. So yeah, so I can, you know, pull up like I could go, okay, well, this weekend I'm going out to play this show. I'm like, oh my God, in 3 days I'm starting that tour. I really kind of didn't realize that. Man, I better make sure I'm ready. Or we're starting rehearsal for that tour and we leave in a week. I'm like, oh man, okay, so in 3 days I have to go up to the Bay Area and rehearse. So I better make sure, and that helps navigate what I have to do for sure too, because when you have so many things, you really have to be organized. And I keep my music organized, but like playing, but the schedule it's difficult. And Jessica's definitely helped me, keep that in order. That's one thing that's always been a little bit difficult to all of a sudden like, oh my God, I'm leaving tomorrow on tour. I didn't realize that my bags are packed, but now I can, I'm looking at it every day all the time because, just the anxiety of like, what's that? Oh, yeah. Okay. Like I have rehearsal tonight with Vio-lence,
oh, wow.
They're actually there waiting for me now. So
we need to let you go then.
Yeah.
I told them, that I have to do this. And
you're pulling a Vinnie Paul on him. You usually got to show up with a clown nose on.
I'm going to show up in a clown outfit.
It was a pleasure not to only meet you, but open up a gig with you here in Oklahoma, Tulsa, and to be able to hang out and talk with you. Your long hair, you got your patent glasses, on stage and everything. Is always cool to see you, especially when we were in Key West. It was great to see you up there. You're like a bridge, man. You're doing all of our old school rock and metal, and then you do all this modern cool stuff as well. And it's great to see you just embrace, all these different sides of rock and roll.
For sure.
It is so cool. And you're getting all this work and it's paying off. And it was a pleasure to have you on our show and be able to talk to you and nothing but good luck and congratulations with everything that comes your way, Ira.
For sure, man.
And I appreciate that very much. And I'll end on a note saying also, having got my studio together during the pandemic, I put together somewhere, up to this point, about 250 songs. And I'm going to be at some point, it's either going to be next year or the following year. I'm going to be doing a solo project. So I'm going to go back to that original thing that I wanted to do.
Cool.
And I should have mentioned that when you asked me about playing all these bands over the years. So I do still have the desire to have my own band and put something out. So I'm definitely going to, do that. I have, plenty of material already. I'm actually singing on it as well. So I'm doing all the writing, all the playing on it, all the recording, and it's going to come out the right way too. I have some people that are involved that we've been talking about like when and how we're going to do this. And, we want to shoot it, to the right channels and make it the real deal. So
cool, man.
That is perfect. Well, Ira, we want you to get to band practice now, so don't be late. And we want to say thank you again for all your time. Thank you to Jessica Chase for setting up the interview with you. She's just been, like I said before the interview started, she's been an absolute joy to work with. Behind every good man is a good and organized woman. Don't you ever forget that, okay?
And if you would, there's a lot of people here in the chat room, and they're saying there's a lot of cool stuff. Melissa Mumpower says, bless you, Ira. Thank you for the awesome interview.
Yep.
Ricky Cook says, hi, Jessica Chase. Ira Black Guitar Picks has his name on one side, and insert band name. Insert band name on the other side. That's awesome.
That's a joke.
But there's so many comments here.
I do have that pick right now.
That's cool.
So if you have any extra time on your hands, man, come on into the chat room and maybe hit some likes and on some of these comments and say hi to some of your fans here. But it was a pleasure to have you, man, and go rock and roll, do your thing.
Have a great time.
And I'll see you in Rocklahoma, right?
We'll see you there, my friend. Thanks for all your time. Yeah, I can't wait, dude. Take care. Thanks again. See you, bud. Bye-bye. Awesome. Great guy. Great woman. Ira and Jessica, they're a force to be reckoned with in the music world. Seriously, Jessica, thank you for being so awesome, not only to set that up, but help us with some other ones as well. You two are doing good things out there.
Once he joined
Don't interrupt me.
What? Say what?
I'm joking. I said don't interrupt me. I'm just kidding. Were done. I was almost done. Go ahead. Your turn.
Go ahead. Finish.
No, I'm done.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just going to say Heathen, once he did that, he never looked back.
That's right.
That was the path to rock and roll.
I know. And honestly, well, first of all, I'm not wired like he is because I'm too spoiled and need my creature comforts. But if I was wired like Ira, where I was okay to travel and jump here and there, the more I thought about it as I was preparing for this interview, I think I would have wanted a career like his, because you're seeing something new, you're experiencing something new all the time. I mean, it's never just the same set of people, the same set of circumstances. It's just a potpourri of excitement.
Sure.
You know? What a career. Ira Black.
He's like the bridge, that just kind of puts a lot of the old school and the new school kind of together. And you could see that on YouTube, which, Jessica, she's got you go to her page, man, on YouTube, and there's thousands and thousands of views of so much stuff. And it's like, man, how do you get that many views?
Yeah.
And anyways, he's just constantly just playing with this, a lot of the cool LA rocker boys, and LA Guns guys, and just mixed up, and then he's playing with, like we said, Vio-lence and some of this more of the thrash era. It's just so cool how he's just kind of can combine them both,
Yeah,
and he makes it work.
And he corrected me too. Here I was assuming that he was just, kind of into the thrash. I thought maybe he was just doing Bulletboys because it was a gig, but you can tell he loves all forms of not just rock, but he's just a broad-based guy.
Yeah,
and
I
a
think
smart guy too.
He's not doing it just for a paycheck.
Not at all.
He's doing it for the love of rock and roll,
and
which
that's
is so
refreshing.
Cool.
That is refreshing. Okay, it is time for us to talk about our sponsors that make the show possible. Guys, that new intro is fun, and we loved shooting it with Psych Mocheck. If you need a video for your band or your business, contact Psych Mocheck at psychomo@gmail.com. Psychomo Filmworks did our new show intro, and we think it's fun and we love it. DEB Concerts, we already talked about this. Rocklahoma, wow, it's going to be here in no time, you guys. What are we looking at? Less than a month? Holy Moses, where did the summer go?
Yeah, at the end of the month.
Less than a month. Rocklahoma is going to be rocking out there in Pryor, Oklahoma. Go to the D&B processing stage at the Roadhouse, put on by Doug Burgess and DEB Concerts. It's going to be a great weekend of rock and roll. Okie PC, when our computer breaks, we contact Dustin Little for all of our computer and IT needs. Call 918-640-0892 or email Dustin at okiepc.com for your IT needs as well. If you need some great pictures for your band, business, or anything else, contact shipmanphotos.com. Your branding is done right when you go to Shipman Photos. Do you need screen printing? It's going to be getting cold here pretty soon. You guys need to pick up a Tulsa Music Stream hoodie. Go to our Facebook page, Tulsa Music Stream. Click on the website link at the top left and order you a shirt or a tank or a hoodie. Sport the TMS logo around town. It really helps us out. Like Scott said earlier, you can always watch us live or on the replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Mm-hmm. We're on a march to get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. Please go to Tulsa Music Stream on YouTube and subscribe. And if audio format is your thing, maybe you can't sit there and look at your phone for an hour or more, but you can listen to something on the way to work or out of town or wherever you're going. Check out Tulsa Music Stream on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more.
Yep.
Scott and I have been working on getting more in the can, but right now we only have 2 lined up. But don't worry, because we're going to be getting more lined up after these. The birthday stream, Thursday, August 24th. We're going to be talking to the guy that fronts one of Ira Black's bands.
Jana's birthday.
Yeah, Mark Tureen of Bulletboys will be on with us at 7 p.m. Central that night. I'm going to see if he'll sing Happy Birthday to me. You think he will? I'll bet we can talk him into that. And then we will be speaking with Tim Ripper Owens of KK's Priest sometime in September. We haven't firmed up that date yet, but it is coming. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Yeah. And just remember, you can always check out our shorts on YouTube. We make some shorts and stuff of some clips and stuff of our interviews and throw them on YouTube, as well as TikTok. We make a lot of TikTok videos and just take out a question and an answer from any of our interviews and put them up there, a minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos. And also our Instagram page. Check them all out, and we have fun on all of them. And we just were we have just joined YouTube. What is it? What do they call it?
The YouTube Partner Program.
Yeah.
Can you want to tell them what that means?
Well, basically, we start off, we still have to get to 1,000 subscribers, but right now you can go on YouTube and you can send out the super chats and send out the super stickers and super thank yous and all that, and it helps us
fund the stream,
fund everything that we need. If we need new microphones, or if we need a new tablet, or new whatever, new headphones, new cords are always going out all the time, or a new light.
We need a new table.
New table.
This table's kind of sad.
So that always helps us out, and we appreciate it. We do all of our research when we get off of our day of work, and we commit to our interviews, and we try to make them fun and cool, and we love to promote, all these rock stars and help them gain any kind of fans, any followers on their pages, and if maybe an album sell here or there.
Yeah, I mean, we do this because we love music, and we know how hard it is to sustain a music career. We've been there, done that. We still play in a cover band and do it on the side. But these guys that are out there making their living at it, man, they need our support, and that's why we do the stream, so we can spotlight them and get you guys to go out, buy their music, buy their concert tickets, buy their merch. It keeps them going.
Yep, and you can even send here on Facebook, you can send some things that helps us out as well. I forgot what they're called.
Are they called stars?
Stars, thank you.
Can you send us some stars, guys?
Send us some stars for the interview.
We're not too proud to beg.
Hit us some hearts up for Ira Black, and we'll see you guys August 24th with Mark Toreen of the Bulletboys.
That's right. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care. Thanks for watching Tulsa Music Stream. Have a good night. Bye.
One, two.